2. And can Huddersfield come back here at the Gulf Farm Stadium against the champions? They've won 5 in a row away from home. They've slipped up twice here against St Helens and against Hull. And unless there is a dramatic change around, it looks like they might be slipping up for the 3rd time. Here goes Ryan Bailey. Huddersfield will look to score early in this second half and make this a real contest if they can.
Bit of shall we say, a disappointing 40 minutes, the first 40 for the Giants, and it's amazing just when you had a wonderful big crowd here to watch the Giants, who were in the 2nd position, and you sort of think to yourself, you know, that is it the nerves that's got to them, Clarkey?
Wonderful run from Medeiros, he's giving it to Brent Webb. Brent Webb will go over under the post, 2nd try for the fullback. Could be game, set and match for the Leeds Rhinos here. A tremendous start to the second half for them, just as they had the start in the first half. They scored early in the piece in the 2nd minute of the match, and that was from Webb, and they score here right at the start of the second half from Brent Webb. It's a long, long road back for the Giants now. Brent Webb with the try, 2 breaks, 2 tries. The fullback, well, he's making up for lost time. Missed the World Cup, missed the start of the season.
Tremendous work by Medeiros, and you can't afford to let a man run that far. The big fella, Earl Crabtree, lunged at him, but Brent Webb, as Eddie mentioned, he shouted it all in the first half within the space of a minute, and they've done exactly the same thing. If you allow a man of this quality, Danny Medeiros, to avoid 3 tackles, then run across the face of the defence, as soon as you looked on the inside, the fullback was there.
Sinfield inevitably with the extras. It's 28-0 to Leeds Rhinos, and it's the Leeds supporters who are chanting and cheering and clapping, and it's the Huddersfield fans who are just a little bit quiet at the moment.
I was going to say, Eddie, that just before that try, the situation was quite positive for Huddersfield. Before the game, people were expecting them to win. At 22 points to 0, nobody expected the Giants to come back, and maybe with that tension relieved, they could play a little bit more like the way we've seen them play at times this season when they picked up some good wins. But now that further try, probably just at 28 points, there's no way, with the defensive mood that Leeds have come with, that the Giants can score 30 points here to 1 and win this game.
There's a fumble though from Luke Burgess. It will give Huddersfield the possession from the scrum.
Well, we've seen
the news from the Catalan Dragons is that they have beaten Salford by 38 points to 6. So 4 wins in a row for the Dragons now.
Just making the point, Eddie, that we've seen some remarkable comebacks, haven't we, already this year? But the way that the Giants are playing, too many errors in the first half. They've got to sort themselves out, and they need to score extremely quickly.
They do, and they don't need us to tell them that. This is Scott Moore, here is Crabtree, now it's Robinson, this is Brett Hodgson. Tries to slide the kick in, it went straight into the arms of Keith Senior. More trouble here for Huddersfield. They get him down eventually. It was Jamal Lolisi. This now is Ryan Hall. Brown in very quickly with Cudjoe to bring him down. Now it's Maguire who pops it up to Ryan Bailey. Bailey is halted right on the halfway line. That's the 3rd tackle. Maguire just dinks it over the top.
Great kick.
David Hodgson is after that. Look at where he will pick it up, right on his own goal line. Right, let's go down to the sideline, because Bill Arthur has got Graham Murray with him, the former Leeds coach. Bill, I bet he's enjoying this.
Well, you must be impressed with the way Leeds are going about the business tonight, Graham.
Yeah, they're going very good. I mean, all the big players are doing the right thing. The forwards are going forward, and you know, it was anyone's game there for a while, but they've just kicked up another gear.
Well, they did, and to come up with a try right at the start of the second half. Any thoughts of Huddersfield come back quickly gone?
Yeah, well, two tries, one in the first half early, then, as you say, I think they've killed them off here, but you've just got to hang in for the whole game.
And, I mean, this Huddersfield Giants side have been travelling pretty well. And here they go.
Just a moment, this is Robinson. He has support with him with Lawrence. They're going to score, Huddersfield. Biggest cheer of the night. That's what they can do, this team. They've been very much second fiddle break. The support from Michael Lawrence, a late birthday present for him. He was 19 last Sunday, 4 tries in his last 3 in Super League, 3 tries over Easter, 2 against Hulkinson Rovers on Monday, 1 against Celtic last Friday, and 1 here tonight.
Well, Graham Murray was barely out of his mouth and said they've got to hang in there, and they certainly did. Wonderful effort by Luke Robinson, good position by Michael Lawrence. He had the pace. Could it be? Not the best defence there. He took full advantage, did Robinson, kept his cool, so did this fella. A glimmer of hope.
Yes, Lawrence with the try. He's got some pace, hasn't he, the teenager? And Brett Hodgson here now, the leading goal kicker in Super League ahead of this weekend, 34 goals. And the joint top point scorer has the opportunity to maintain his record of having played and scored in every game so far. And Hodgson chips it over the top. Huddersfield are on the board. 28 points to 6 though. What would they have given to have kept Leeds out right at the start of this second half?
And what would they have given if this young fella had made the break, say, 5 minutes before the half-time hooter went? That really could have changed the complexion. As it was Leeds who picked up 2 tries late in that first half. You would have thought that would have killed them off, but it gives them hope now.
It does give them hope now, and well, Huddersfield supporters will be delighted if we go back to talk to Graham Murray, because we know what happened when we last spoke to him. So, Bill, let's go back to you.
Was that a bit too late, that try?
Yeah, I think so. I think Leeds have got it wrapped up, but you know, the stranger things have happened in the game, but you know, they're still digging in Huddersfield, which is good for them.
I think you're saying it when you consider where Huddersfield were when you were in this country. This is quite some change, isn't it?
10 years ago they weren't much at all, but you know, they've got some really talented players out here. Here they go again.
Here they go again with Weil, and you're spot on, Graham. Tosses the ball in field, and the knock-on, says the referee, or a forward pass. I'm not so sure about that, and I don't think he will be either, Nathan Brown.
I think when you see it again, it was good work from Brown, but I think Wild's pass here is, as his name suggests, it's wild, it's forward.
And the referee was in a great position.
Yeah, well, it nearly hit the referee, didn't it? He just lost control of it. Good tackle by Brent Webb. It had to be as well, but a glorious opportunity. Let's get back to Graham Murray. They're all shouting for it here. The Giants fans. Go back to Bill.
No, I think we'll leave him alone. He's caused enough damage to the Leeds cause, Barry, hasn't he?
He has, and I'm not sure whether he's caused enough damage at the bar. He seems like he's been sampling some of the amber nectar as Mozza.
And I think Bill wants just to talk to him about the 1999 and the reunion. So, Bill, back to you, and Leeds fans are holding their breath.
Well, you never know. The whole reason, Graham, apart from watching today, is for a reunion for the 1999 side, isn't it?
Yeah, the one we won at the Challenge Cup at Wembley, and it's just going to be great to catch up with all the players and officials that we had there. It's a great club, Leeds, and you know, it's one of them things that I've been proud of and been privileged to be part of, and it's great to be back.
Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks, Bill.
Yes, it is good to see him. And Leeds trying to respond now to the pressure that Huddersfield have put on them since they scored the try in the opening minute of the second half. And there's a mistake. Burrow's inside pass goes to ground.
A little bit too fancy there at a time where Huddersfield just gaining a little bit of momentum. Brian McLennan would have got the word out and said, hey, come on. They didn't need that. At 28-6, controlling the game, he needed it into the corner. Keep turning them around. They've got the lead, and they should be able to control this game from here on in.
Plenty of time though for Huddersfield.
Yep.
Plenty of time. And Simon Finnegan still inside his own half though.
Go. Bit quicker, Kev.
Well, the mere fact, they only made 1 clean break in that first 40. They've made 2 already in the first 9 minutes of the restart, so that will build the confidence, and that'll be 2-on-1. Steele. Lartini says, well, I thought it was 1, and it was, but he didn't realise that Senior had joined the fray, and so had Bailey, just ripping it away.
So a chance for Huddersfield again. Jamal Lolisi Oh, straight into Lauatiti. Down he goes. Gets up quickly though. Plays the ball to Moore. Going down the short side. Brett Hodgson.
2, 1.
Scott Moore. Here is Robinson. Pops it up. It's Finnegan again.
Again, the inside pass is not confusing the Leeds defence. They're going to do that, as I kept saying in the first half. They need a second phase with it.
Robinson was that touched by Leeds' hand. Referee hasn't wiped the tackle count down. Hodgson goes down and says that's number 4. Crabtree wanted that. Badiris is there. Kirk is there. Crabtree still going. He's so close to the line. Scott Moore. Back it comes to Robinson. Robinson to Brown. Quick hands. Hodgson forward.
Great chance. Scooped it away, did Brown. There's a pass master of this. Whoa. Just slightly forward there. Probably see it a little bit better. Yeah. He tried his damnedest there, did David Hodgson, to make it look as though it wasn't forward.
Not much in it.
Very close.
Keep that knee out. 2, move.
Well, Nathan Brown.
Go.
He, I suppose, will have regarded this in many ways as an acid test against the champions. They've competed with them, but it's just in attack that Leeds have been a little more sparkling, and Maguire hands it on to Badiris, who gives it then to Sinfield, and there's nowhere for Sinfield to go other than to the ground.
Bit of a facial. It's a knock on. Shakes his head in disbelief to the Rhinos skipper, and he was getting a slight facial. They do come free these days when you're playing rugby league.
So that looked a little questionable, all that was going on the floor, to be fair.
Yep.
And Sinfield certainly thought it was. This is Fatuira. Gibson stands firm.
Now 1, move. Hold, go.
Hodgson, that's David Hodgson to Stephen Wild. Badiris with a flying tackle.
2.
That's a mistake, and it's a penalty. I was going to say it's a knock-on, but that's a penalty against Ian Kirk.
Yeah, he was never removed himself away from the play the ball area, as you can see here. And though he was being helped, pushed along by Wild.
Well, if Huddersfield score here, it will be interesting. Mason to drive it in.
1.
Impressed me today, Keith Mason. A lot of hard work.
Bailey was asking for a knock-on against Mason then. Here's Moore. Now it's Finnegan.
2, 1.
Short side, Robinson.
Go.
There is Robinson. He comes this way, but that's a loose pass. He did well there, Kermon, to retain possession for his team. David Hodgson. Mason to drive it in. Good driving legs there from Mason. Knock on. Leeds again celebrate the mistake. And if Huddersfield do lose this, they have helped their own downfall.
Without a doubt. Time and time again. 6 times in the first half. The first one coming from the kickoff, Brett Hodgson, then the other 5, would you believe, barely within a metre from the Leeds goal line.
Now they've made 9.
Time back on, heads in, Kevin.
You cannot make errors like that against a team like Leeds.
And Leeds have closed it down well, haven't they? The defence has been pretty solid, but given the opportunity, when they've had the chance, when there's been a clean break, they've had numbers there and they've had the ability to put the ball and score the try.
Here's Gibson. The tackling by Kermond.
Hold, go.
Badiris sweeps it to Burrow. He's such a low centre of gravity, hasn't he, Rob Burrow? He gets underneath the swinging arms and just ducks at the right time.
Shoulder no. 5 last. Go.
Nice tackle here. Kirk plays it to Maguire. He finds Sinfield. Sinfield, great kick over the top of Brett Hodgson.
Super stuff. He's on top form, is Kevin Sinfield. He's had the best game I've seen him have this season. His control has been good, ball handling, but his kicking game has been superb.
Brett Hodgson nearly away, but Ian Kirk saw to it that he wasn't going to get much further forward. Brown and Lolisi.
Move! Go!
Well, much talk over the past week or so about fatigued players, and I know that Huddersfield have had the luxury of resting a few over the Easter holiday, but this game being played at some pace. Well done to the players of both sides. Here is Hodgson, that could have been forward as well.
Just a touch in front, Hodgson there. I'm with you, Eddie.
Brown hoists a high kick. Don't let it bounce. They didn't. Ryan Hall. And Scott Moore was there with Lolisi to bring him down.
Been as solid as a rock, hasn't he, Ryan Hall? Big unit, very tall. Hasn't really been troubled by anything. He's kept his eyes on the ball all the time.
Now a TT.
Move, Luke! Go!
Will play it to Rob Burrow. He finds Keith Senior.
4.
They work the short blind well down the Leeds.
Sinfield flicks the ball back. Kirk again. Good work in defence again by Huddersfield though. Fifth tackle. And Maguire this time with boot to ball. And measured to perfection.
Basic, but simple. And very effective. The one thing perhaps that will be also irritating Nathan Brown, the Giants coach, is that nearly every occasion that Leeds have had to kick on the final tackle, both Maguire and Kevin Sinfield have had no pressure applied to them.
And I think that's again because of the speed of the game has been dictated by the Rhinos. They've been able to take the territory, get the kick in, slow the game down, taking away the advantage that Huddersfield have played with it. I'll just pick Eddie up on the Easter period and all the talk about it, and I listened to Yeston who did a great job in his commentary last night. He was talking and saying he really enjoyed it as a player, and I'm not sure these players who play now do. It takes a hell of a toll on the body. It takes a hell of a toll on the pace of the games that are played, not only during that Easter period, but this weekend and the next weekend again. I think it needs to be looked at seriously.
You're singing off the same hymn sheet as Tony Smith, the coach of both in his past, the Leeds Rhinos and the Huddersfield Giants. That's what he told us on the Red Button programme last night, Super League Extra Time. He wants it down to one game over the Easter period.
And he's right.
I bet if you ask the players, they'd stick their hand up because they're tough, they're hard as nails, and they'll play whenever they're asked to do it. But sometimes you've got to take it away from them.
I'd be interested to hear what John Keir says about it all, and to be fair, Kevin Walters.
Of course, the teams that win,
yes.
The teams that win will think it's brilliant. The teams that lose will want to get rid of it.
Yeah, Brian McClem was also saying it's a little bit cruel, but he's just getting on with it. He says, they're the cards you dealt. You know you get the cards dealt like that at the start of the season. And play on and let's have a go.
And it can go either way. And in situations like this, as we've seen today, Leeds got off to a flyer. Huddersfield made the error. Hodgson right from the kick-off. And there were an uphill battle from there on in.
I just think we've got to think about the players and the welfare and the body and the effort that they put in has to take its toll at some point.
Great take. Wonderful take under pressure by Brett Hodgson.
I agree with Barry McDermott completely about the players. I don't think you have to convince anyone here. You have to convince the chairman. You have to convince the chief executives and the people who count the cash over Easter, because they have had a record-breaking Easter. The crowds have clicked through the turnstiles, and look at this here tonight. Look at this crowd that they've got inside the Gulf Farm Stadium.
I'll tell you what, Eddie, you tell me who I've got to go and find, and on behalf of the players, I will state the case.
Well, there's 14 owners, stroke chairman. Go and talk to them and bully them like you're trying to bully
one after
me.
the other after the other. No problem.
It's Robinson with the kick.
Not a bad one either.
It's a good kick. Donald, oops. Now then, Donald has got a bit of work to do here, and he can't do it. It was just a bit lackadaisical then by Scott Donald. Little casual, this.
Yeah, we often see it from wingers. They're speedsters, they're full of skill, and sometimes they come up with the error. It'll be a drop out from underneath the sticks, and Leeds will be in no hurry whatsoever. The official, Richard Silverwood, has called time off. But this should be a very good kick from Sinfield, because throughout this game so far he's been in control when it comes to the kicking game.
Gets good length on it, but plucked out of the air by Brett Hodgson. Here comes Keith Mason. Whoa! Penalty. Oh, well, I think that's a little harsh.
Well, so do I.
That's very harsh. He's showed all the bravery in the world here, Mason. Just ramps up, gets put on his backside, and in his haste to play the ball, I think Danny Badiris has got hold of him. I think he's very unlucky there.
Well, I can't understand why the man with the whistle has...
It says he's moved off the mark.
Yeah, that's
well,
it.
Yeah, but it was being sort of jostled around by Danny Badiris at the same time.
Just talking about Danny Badiris, what's the quality of his passes here? It's always in front of the man, and when I say that, and most of the occasions he invites Burrow and Maguire to attack the ball, Eddie, when he throws the long, wide pass from the acting halfback, and it really sets the back line in motion.
Here is Sinfield, now it's Maguire. What about giving it to Matt Diskin? Interesting that they are both out there now, Badiris and Diskin. And Badiris will attack the line himself. Oh, it's a great ball to Peacock. Great defence though from Lolisi.
Wonderful tackle. It needed it as well.
Sinfield out the back to Kirk. I don't think they've heard the call, Leeds. Now they have. Last tackle.
Go, Steve, offside, come on.
Webb. And Burrow, good on his feet. Dab to the in-goal area, and Brett Hodgson to the rescue, because Rob Burrow was following up.
Not a bad option, was it, from Rob Burrow? You just get the feeling that this man knew that he was going to come up with something different. He was obviously going for the power play, trying to go all on his own, but it boots a ball, and he applied the pressure. He wasn't far off from scoring the try either. It's been a comfortable evening for Brett Hodgson, the Giant skipper.
First.
This is Jamie Peacock. We'll play it here to Kevin Sinfield. Now it's with Matt Diskin.
2.
Again, Leeds, every time they have a little bit of a foray down the short blind side.
Jamie Jones-Buchanan.
Picked it out well
again.
Picked it out well, did Luke Robinson now. Neat little short pass.
Badiris, Burrow, short ball to Senior. Senior has lost that ball forward.
No
Referee will put the
advantage.
scrum down.
Well, very basic from Leeds, as I say, they trying to keep the short blind side, get as much room forward. Not controlled well by this fella Keith Senior.
They've been having a good battle, them two, Lolisi and Keith Senior. Every time one of them gets the ball, the other one's not too far away. Two old war horses there.
Well, it's at that time now where the Giants, they realise they've got to start doing something different. Maybe the chip over the top. Webb is very much up in there. He's slowly getting back now. There's a golden opportunity there of a little chip over, maybe from Brown or Robinson.
Fayumu goes to ground, tackle number 4. Scott Moore shouldn't really do that.
The one thing about the inside pass that Huddersfield have been utilising, it ensures that the Leeds first and second markers have worked hard. The only problem is that they've been up to the task. They've worked really well.
Huddersfield trying to work it wide, and they do so, getting it to Lawrence, but good defence from Leeds down that left-hand side. The Leeds Rhinos scored a Super League double against Huddersfield last year, 30-10 here, 46-8 at Headingley. High kick. Oh, Donald has made a mess of it.
That'll be the first
knock on. He must have heard David Hodgson coming at him, thundering over the turf. Scott Donald, who's agreed a new 12-month extension to his contract this week, not the way to celebrate.
Well, he had the arms up there and he just completely missed it.
I wonder if there's a ghost down this end, because Brett Hodgson did that in the first half, right from the kickoff, remember?
That was just good pressure. Good pressure from David Hodgson there. And Scott Donald getting his new 12-month deal. He's probably been the most consistent player over the last 3 years for the Rhinos. Well-deserved deal for him in the bag.
L2.
We shouldn't be too harsh on him just because he drops one ball, but Huddersfield in a good position here.
Brown gets the ball away. Here is good leg drive from Stephen Wild. This is an opportunity here for Huddersfield to close the gap. David Hodgson, Kevin Brown. No way through for Kermon, so he gives the ball instead to Fatuira, who plays the ball to Moore. Now it's Robinson. Here is Brett Hodgson. Hodgson, dab through for a great chase here.
Oh, golden chance. And that'll finish up as a tap on the 20, when it really should have gone the other way around, because...
Very close, Lawrence, very close to it.
It's a shame, really, because Webb completely misjudged it. Beautiful kick, though, by Kevin Brown.
Go.
Chances gonna beg in yet again.
Ryan Hall then for the Leeds Rhinos.
Go.
He's now got 10 tries in all competitions this year, Ryan Hall. 9 in the Super League.
Stand. Go.
This is Matt Diskin. Crabtree is there with Kermond. He goes down on tackle number 4.
Go. 4.
Maguire. Up the middle goes Ian Kirk. Last tackle here for Leeds.
Wait, Scott. Go. Don't be pushing him off, Scott.
Medeiros will go down the left-hand side, and that's Jamie Jones Buchanan. Well, that was forward. Deary me, how did Richard Silverwood miss that?
Well, not just him, how about the touch judge on that far side? Was floating well forward.
2. Move.
I suppose that horrible word. Momentum.
Well, Jamie Jones Buchanan finished up in front of the pass. So yes, I suppose strictly, you're right, under the rules.
I've mentioned it for a while. Brian McLennan, you know, he realises that they've had a horror Easter programme, but they've got back on the horse today, haven't they?
Nice little chip from Luke Robinson. And now was Brett Hodgson taken out there off the field, off the play? He was. Ball pass, says the referee here. Big smile from Richard Silverwood. Big smile, because the Huddersfield crowd have congratulated him on that decision.
Yep, he was in a good position as well with Silverwood. Not so sure that the big fella Jamie Peacock thought that way.
Looking at it again, I'm not sure it was, but anyway, Richard Silverwood thought it was. That's all that matters.
Well, you see the scoreline there, and you'd have to say that time would run out on this Giants outfit, but Nathan Brown and all the players realise that to get some sort of confidence back into them, they've got to at least score 1 try.
2. Move.
It's all about aiming yourself up and preparing for the next game.
Scott Moore is hurt. And Fatuira has it for the Giants. He's looking for some help. None forthcoming. Wild, dummy half for Huddersfield. Here is Robinson. They close him down quickly, but he pops it up to Earl Crabtree. That's a great pass. Kevin Brown gets away from Webb, but can't get away from him second time. Leeds scrambling defence. Well, that's a penalty. They were all over the top of him there, Kevin Brown. They really were.
He's put the scrum down.
Yeah, they're giving the knock-on against Scott Moore.
Not one player had 1 foot over the line, never mind both. Look at this. Diskin was nearly joined. He was in front of the man trying to play the ball. Now that is very poor refereeing, I'm sorry. Nobody square, nobody onside. Look at them.
Medeiros, actually, the most recent introductions to Super League from the NRL still actually have that in them, the habit. A lot of the British players now, second year into it, are starting to get back and behind the try line.
Yeah, Medeiros was nearly in the play the ball.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Go.
And as you said, Maguire wasn't standing square at all.
2. Move.
Well, your mind goes back, Eddie, to the, you know, that controversial disallowed try at Bradford, remember?
Yes.
When they brought it back and they said that Webb was stood in it. You know, if we're going to be that pedantic, and yet we can see quite clearly that not 1 but 2 or 3 was well in front. I mean, Diskin was nearly 2 yards in front.
I know the point you're making, but it was a slightly, well, a vastly different. He's going to give a penalty here. Leeds aren't complaining, obviously, but I think this is, you know, he says hell. How can the three Huddersfield players stop?
They can't, not when they've got him in it and he's moving. His feet was on the ground. I despair sometimes. I shall just retire for a few seconds, take a pill and settle down.
Diskin to Burrow.
Do you know how many people were excited then when you said you would retire? I could feel the cheers.
I didn't say retired, I said settle down, Barry.
He said you'll retire and take a pill. And
my memory's great, Eddie.
Retire.
Diskin here.
Oh,
that's a knock on.
Back to 6.
No play on. Try for Matt Diskin. The referee will hand this upstairs to Thierry Alibert, the video referee, to judge. But I think that this will be given to Leeds, and Matt Diskin, I think, has come up with a try. There's the knock on by Stephen Wild.
Definitely put his arm out.
Now, was there another knock on there by the Leeds player?
Don't think so.
No, we can't see it.
I think Peacock just had the ball ricochet, but is Diskin in front? That's what we've got to see. Yeah, it's come off Peacock, so Diskin's in front. It'll be scrum down. They'll take the first knock on from Stephen Wild. Head and feed, Leeds, and when they do that, listen to the crowd here.
That was a hand there from Peacock anyway, but you're right, Diskin is in front of this play.
Yeah.
And he comes off Peacock.
It's no try.
Well, you say. Thierry Alibert hasn't decided yet.
Well, it touches Peacock. So therefore he's offside. Well, don't tell me they're going to award this.
Having a look at the grounding.
Thierry Alibert will be looking through the phrase book.
Once it hits Stephen Wild's legs, does that make a difference?
I give up.
Diskin gets the try, but how on earth that's been given with Diskin standing in an offside position off the knock on? Well,
get me another pill, please.
Well, there was a knock on from Stephen Wild. It came off Peacock, and then it reached Diskin, who's in front of the ball. I thought that means he's offside.
Yeah, that's the knock on. Then it comes off Peacock.
Comes off Peacock again.
It does hit Stephen Wild though, Eddie, doesn't it? You accept that it's hitting Stephen Wild.
And then it hits Peacock.
And then it hits Wild's legs again before coming back.
He's offside. Either way.
Well, they're saying Peacock doesn't play at the ball. That's what they're saying. But he was surely in... Anyway, look, it doesn't matter. It's academic. It's 34-6. Leeds are going to win.
Yep.
And you can't criticise video referees and referees for a scoreline like that. And you can't indicate that there's anything wrong with a scoreline like that, because Leeds tonight have been far superior.
Yeah, without a doubt. And full credit to this fella, Matt Diskin. You play to the whistle. That's what he did. Plonked it down. Gets the reward with a 4-pointer.
Oh, there's that ghost again. It's that corner. There's somebody there, and
is it Albert Rosenfeld or something like that?
It might be. I don't know whether they ever played here, but they might have brought his spirit across with them from Fartown.
Well, he was an Australian.
Something at that end, isn't there?
Well, I think you're stretching the point of it, Eddie, with goats.
Well, but, go on, give me another explanation then.
An elf.
Crabtree will run it back for Huddersfield. Only as far as the initial tackle, though. It's been a very good display from Leeds. I feel a bit sorry for Huddersfield. They've been outplayed tonight, and it's a big night for them, as we've emphasised from the start.
I think the thing that surprised everybody here, and maybe a lot of viewers, was the fact that that's a knock-on.
Didn't miss that one.
And the fact is that this big Huddersfield outfit, and they are big in the scrum, they've been battered by Leeds. And that will be pleasing their coach, Brian McClendon, because he knows that he had
Here we
to...
are, look, there's the first mistake in this corner by Hodgson, right in the first minute. Then we had this one from Scott Donald, that was the second. And then we've just had the third. So there's something going on in that corner.
Either that or...
The ghost of Christmas past.
Either that and neither of them can catch.
Well, that might be the case.
That's a good point that Steve-O makes about the Rhinos and the forwards. On Monday, Salford absolutely blasted the Rhinos to bits in the forward. Stapleton, Luloi played them off the pitch, and I think the coach laid the challenge down to them this week.
Well, when he spoke to me yesterday, Brian McClendon, he said that the players believe that there is a big win coming. Despite what happened to them over Easter, he thought there was a big win coming. The big win has arrived. This is a great performance. Burrow. Well, Robinson wasn't fooled by that.
Good position, and I'm sure that Brian McClendon would have perhaps liked the kick into the corner, but they've got such a comfort zone at 34-6. He won't be disappointed by any of his players trying something different, being adventurous. And at a time when everybody thought perhaps were the Rhinos slipping.
Here is Hodgson. Ball in field to Fatuira, ball further in field to Kevin Brown, scrambling defence from Leeds. Lost it again! Fatuira touches down. Now then, they'll have to decide whether the ball was stripped or whether it was a knock-on.
Well, he released it, did Brown, that's for sure. But was it stripped? I don't think it was. He deliberately releases it, and that's going backwards.
And then it bounces off Maguire.
It hits Maguire. Gibson misses it, and Fatuira gets the try. Well, how many times this season, it was a high shot there, wasn't it, to start with, from Scott Donald. How many times this season has poor Thierry Alibert had to be stretched in regards to making a decision? Now, did Brown's left hand, or arm should I say, he deliberately offloads it.
He's offloading it there, and
it hits his arm again, so that'll be classed as a knock-on.
Is it Scott Donald's arm that forces it forward, though?
Yes, it might be off a punch.
Do you see here? You see that bit there? That forces it forward.
This is amazing. Up to you, Thierry. See if you can find the ghost.
Paul Fatuira, but they've not even checked the grounding a second time, so it looks like this is a no try. The New Zealander denied. Huddersfield supporters just shake their heads. Over 11,500 in here tonight, their fourth biggest attendance in Super League for the Huddersfield Giants. Leeds still hold the distinction of bringing the biggest attendance here. Start of last year, February 2008. This is Ryan Hall. Jamie Jones Buchanan.
He's lost it.
That ball's come
down. Well, Eddie, the ghost is moving.
He's on the move.
He's on the move.
Well, I tell you what, that was stripped by Paul Jackson. That's not a ghost. That's a hand in there. Cudjoe just gets away from Maguire the first time.
Took a gamble, didn't you, the standoff Maguire. Went for the crunch, missed him.
Crabtree.
You have to admire the way that the Leeds defence has scrambled back time and time again. Not many clean breaks from Huddersfield.
Lolisi.
Go. Third.
Hodgson again. Brown, Jackson. There was a chance there. It was quickly stopped. He was quickly halted.
Go. 4.
Fayumu. The ghost on the gantry now.
David. Just call him David.
David, there he is. Fayumu.
Stand up. Go.
Well, before, he gave a penalty against Huddersfield for that, for moving off the mark. Hodgson.
Hasn't been his
on.
best day.
No, Brett Hodgson's not had... It started badly and faded for him, really. He misfielded the kick-off. It's a shame, because he's been a standout performer for them this year.
Yeah, he's a quality player, but you get those days. And talking of quality, not more so than loose forward and the captain of Leeds today, Kevin Sinfield. He has marshalled his troops to perfection, and I must say, his kicking game has just turned Huddersfield around time and time again. He was instrumental in being involved in quite a few of the tries, especially in the first half.
Now Titi just holding the ball with one hand. Well, Lawatiti should not do that to David Hodgson. That could have been a penalty the other way. He shoved him at the play of the ball. Burrow wide to Jamie Jones-Buchanan. Senior looking to finish this game with a flourish. Brilliant hands by Ryan Hall to Jamie Jones-Buchanan again. And he gets the ball away to Ryan Hall. Here is Rob Burrow. Rob Burrow to Webb, which was for them.
Not the best pass from Rob Burrow. There's a grin all over his face. And I think you'd have to safely say that in this last 10 minutes or so...
Can't see anything wrong in the pass.
Well, see where he is. And it's going forward, it's going forward.
That's forward, that, Eddie. You can tell with the way Brent Webb has to lean back.
Ah, well. Goals popping up all over the place. But I was just making the point, the last 10 minutes, Eddie, both sides, they really are fatigued. And the Easter programme has taken its toll. Little doubt in my mind. Errors from both sides. Very slow to get up and play the ball. It's been a rugged battle between the two, but Leeds have come out well and truly in front. Mainly
Yes,
due to
it's a good win this for them.
And their big stars have shown up. Maguire and Burrow, they've combined well. Brent Webb back to his best. Probably seen the best bit of skills from Danny Medeiros this season. So all in all, Brian McLennan will be extremely pleased with the scoreline.
Hodgson to David Hodgson, and he misses it. That sort of sums up the Huddersfield Giants day, I'm afraid.
It's been unfortunate for them, as we keep mentioning. There's plenty of people come to support the side here. A Huddersfield Giants side that's playing well will always make people from this area come out and have a watch and enjoy some good rugby league, but they've just come against a wounded Rhinos side that really needed to get the season back on track.
Oh, Maguire was taken out there by Fatuira.
No foul.
Well, that would have been a great try, because it was a chip over the top, and Maguire was on his way, and I'm convinced, and Danny Maguire is convinced, that he was tripped up.
Go.
Not given by the referee, not seen by his touch judges.
I can't think there've been many complaints from the Rhinos side with decisions going against them. I think it's been
They've
a pretty lucky day for the Rhinos in some respects.
Yes, you're right, they've had the rub of the green.
A lot of the 50-50 calls have gone their way.
I tell you what, at 34-30 they might have been a bit concerned about that decision. But it's not to be. Crabtree will drive this in. Oof.
That's big impact, that.
It is, and he gets it away to Jackson.
Felt that shudder.
This is Griffin.
First. Move. Go.
Fayumu at dummy half. Robinson pops it up. Cudjoe.
Two. Move.
Wrestled to the ground by Luke Burgess. Fayumu again. Kevin Brown. Dink over the top looking for David Hodgson. Claimed by Scott Donald. Scott Donald does really well. Gets out of trouble. And that will do. An outstanding night for the Leeds Rhinos. The champions came here to the team that was on the rise. No wonder he's got a little smile on his face, Brian McLennan. Huddersfield were the team with St Helens that you would have to say were the great form teams of the moment, and they have completely and utterly snuffed them out. Let's go down to Bill because he's with the man of the match, Kevin Sinfield.
Kevin, congratulations on the man of the match performance. Never mind the chocolate drink, there's the champagne. After the Easter that Leeds had, that's a very satisfying way to respond.
Yeah, we've been poor. I think we've come up against Bradford and Salford, who deservedly won the games. I don't know whether the loss to Saints in the Cup had a bit more of an effect on us than we thought, but like I said, the two teams we played against deserve to win, and we need to respond tonight against a side who've been as good as anything knocking around. So to come here and get the 2 points and play the first half like we did is pretty pleasing for us.
No sign of anybody feeling sorry for themselves after what happened over Easter. I mean, you seem to come here with a very positive attitude.
Yeah, we had to. We've had 8 days of being miserable and walking around with our chins on the floor, but it don't do anybody any good, and we had to come here positive tonight. It's pretty much the same 17 that I played in all that 4 games, and they've come out tonight and nailed it, I thought. And like I said, Huddersfield are a great side, and we see the crowd here tonight. They're really getting behind them, and our fans were great, and we managed to do it.
Well done, Kevin. It must be the new hairstyle.
I thought it looked like Steve-O tonight. I'd say I'm sick of looking like Eddie, so we'll go for a change. Cheers, Bill. Thank you.
Well, I must say on a personal note, I enjoyed the former look, but never mind. The Leeds captain has done really well, and he's man of the match. And the Huddersfield Giants' winning run of 6 in a row comes to a shuddering halt. The champions in champion form, and they move to within 2 points of the Saints, who of course travel to Castleford Tigers tomorrow afternoon. Huddersfield down to 3rd, and the Catalan Dragons just a couple of points now off the pace as far as a playoff place is concerned. That's 4 wins in a row for Kevin Walters' team. Steve-O, it was a performance to savour from Leeds.
Certainly was. Brian McLennan will be happy that they got back on the horse, but he'll be extremely pleased by the fact that Danny Medeiros performed better than he has done all season. Webb, he played his part, didn't he, back on the inside. That was his 2nd try. It looked perhaps they had an opportunity when Robinson made the break. Good work from Lawrence back on the inside, but I'm afraid it was faint hope, because it was Leeds that tied it up with somewhat of a controversial try here. Wild has got it. Did it hit Peacock? Was Diskin in an offside position? As far as he was concerned, it was a try.
And a try it was, and Leeds looking good, and ominously good as well, because they're coming off the Easter period, they're coming off 3 defeats in a row. They were strong tonight.
I think their belief must have really been questioned when they lost to St Helens twice in quick succession. They know that St Helens are their main rivals in this competition, and have been for the last couple of years, and yet the way that they demolished them, even though the final scorelines was quite close, they clearly outplayed them, and I guess that had an effect on their last 2 performances. Tonight, in the first 30 minutes, the simple focus was on defending better than they've done all season, and once you get that aspect of your game right, then with players with the natural speed and flair that the Leeds side have, you're going to score some points. So it was, I think, the beginning of a rebuilding process now for them, and one that they will hope will culminate by lifting the trophy at Old Trafford.
Yes, it's Old Trafford a bust now for the Leeds Rhinos. You got the sense, Steve, watching them warm up tonight, they were in huddles all over the place, and they were talking to each other. They were pointing a few home truths out maybe, and they produced.
Yeah, they did, because let's face it, they're the champions, and they would be saying to each other, you know, we don't become a poor team just overnight. Okay, they didn't have a very good Easter programme, but they sorted themselves out. I think perhaps the major thing was the fact that the real stars of this Leeds outfit performed tonight. You know, Maguire and Burrows, they got into it. The forwards were good. It was obvious that Nathan Brown had said to his side, let's work down the middle. That's where they've been a little bit weak in the past 2 games, is that the first and second markers with Leeds, they were missing the tackles. They weren't tonight. All I can say, they were very, very strong in defence. They'll be happy.
Great display from the champions.